Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the West Ham Voice. The final hours of the transfer window, and there's still some business to be done. You know, it's we thought everything was concluded with the likes of Lucas Paqueta coming in, but no. We've got one or two other deals to sort of sort out, and it all really boils down to who might actually be leaving West Ham United and who might actually be replacing the players that could be leaving. At this moment in time, it's really only down to two players. And I'm sure you've been reading the stories throughout the whole day. And the first one is all about Craig Dawson. Now, Craig Dawson, as has been reported on this channel, and I'm sure on many other channels and social media channels over the last few weeks, Craig Dawson is looking to move to back up north. He wants to be closer to his family. As we all know, he still has a home up north, and he's been travelling down on a regular basis when he was at Watford and now at West Ham United. But he wants to go home. He wants to sort of move back north. And it's not that he doesn't want to be at West Ham. It's just that it's affecting his private life, his family life. And we totally understand that. Now, from what we understood, there were a number of possible deals that were going to happen, which would have allowed Craig Dawson to move. The first one was Bednarik of Southampton. And from now, what we're hearing is Bednarik is at Villa or en route to Villa in order to do his medical there. So that looks like quite potentially a done deal. Then there was talk about some kind of swap deal for Dendoncker of Wolves, but apparently he's now also moving to Villa as well. Craig Dawson, as we reported the other day, his preference would be to go to Wolverhampton Wanderers, and there was some talk about some kind of swap deal there, but that's not happening either. So David Moyes has been in negotiations with the player, and what David Moyes has actually offered Dawson is a couple of incentives to try and keep him at West Ham United till at least January. He's offered to give him time off. He's offered to get him to have more time with his family, etc., so that he can sort of feel a bit more relaxed about the situation, etc., and other incentives to keep him at West Ham until January. Whether Craig Dawson will want to do that or not, I don't know. The other incentive is he's offered him, if he stays until January, he's going to offer him a free move in January. So keep him until January. And then offer him a free transfer so that, clubs don't have to bid or anything. And it's fair enough on Moyes. Moyes definitely wants Dawson to stay. There's absolutely no reason why Moyes wants Dawson to leave. He's been an absolutely immense player for us. And if something can happen there, then that's fantastic. Look, as I said, the Dendoncker deal... the Bednarik deal was all about if will allow Dawson to move. Now, from what I've just said, Bednarik is on his way to Aston Villa. There was talk earlier on in the day about Caleta-Car. No, he's en route to Southampton. So Caleta-Car is replacing Bednarik. Bednarik is on his way to Villa. And medicals have been arranged at both clubs, respectively. So it looks like that we've missed out on the deal for Bednarik. I would have liked him. I think at 26 years of age, he would have been quite a decent backup. But I guess being fourth or fifth choice backup at West Ham rather than starting at Aston Villa, kind of, you can't compete with that, can you? And next up is Harrison Ashby. So, I mean, we've been hearing latest stories about this, and a bit of an odd one. Ashby has been offered a contract. I've been trying to find out what that contract deal is worth, etc., but I haven't got that information. He's in his last year of his contract at West Ham United. He's been offered an extension, and a number of teams were in for him. Newcastle, Leeds, Preston showed an interest as well. But it looks like Newcastle are the closest to signing the player, and it looks like just before the window shuts, he could become a Newcastle player, which is a little bit galling, but there you go. Ashby is certainly a player that would have, I think, knowing what Moyes is like, he takes his time with players, but Ashby would have been probably the next player coming through the academy that would have made it. And the fact that we're actually looking for a replacement for Ashby certainly speaks volumes. It seems to suggest that Moyes really fancied him to stay at West Ham and competing for that slot at right back. Look, Soufal in the game against Spurs looked fantastic last night. So we could see that Soufal can do it. But at 30, we know that he can't do it on a regular basis. Johnson, obviously, is out injured at the moment with a hamstring injury. So Ashby would have got game time. And all he needed to do was, or what we need to do is agree some kind of proper incentive for him to stay. But by the sounds of it, as it stands right now, it looks like Newcastle are winning the race to sign Harrison Ashby. And the news earlier today is that we're in for Ola Aina of Torino. Look, come out of the blue today. He's got a contract till 2023. He's valued at around £3.5-4 million, 25 years of age. Ex-Chelsea youth player. He moved to Torino in 2019 for just under £9 million. He was on loan at Fulham the season before last when they were relegated, and then he moved back to Torino. Final year of his contract. We've apparently gone in with a £3.5 million offer plus add-ons. Apparently that offer is real. It's true. We've got a real interest in the player, but that's been knocked back. My understanding is that we're likely to go back in with another offer. So I guess we'll just have to see. With Ashby definitely going, it looks like we may well push for Aina to come to West Ham United. Decent, he's all right player. You know, he represented England under-20s, and before he made his move to Nigeria, he's played for Nigeria about 20 odd times, and he's quite strong, and he's also versatile. He can play as a wing back as well as a traditional right back. Look, that's it. I'm gonna bring you another update if there are any updates to bring you later on in the day. So there'll be sort of snapshots. If we hear of any more news, and probably by the time I come offline, something else would have come up. Let's see who we got in the chat to say hello before I shoot off. Howard, good evening to you. No, can't let. Well, at the moment, it looks like we might be keeping him, mate. Good evening to you, Epic. Apparently, Zalai deal could still happen. Not heard much about that, to be quite honest with you. And as a left back, given that we've already got Emerson in, I'm not so sure. I know he can play at centre back, but I just wonder if it's kind of gone quiet. So I'll check my sources, and see if there's anything to do with that. So let's, who else have we got? Epic again. I suspect we'll get a new centre back. I don't know who it will be. I suspect that if Dawson stays, we'll be all right until January. Howard, is he better than Dawson? Epic. Zalai, I don't know. He's younger. He's a lot younger. Is he better than Dawson? Not so sure. Mandy, why can't Dawson just wait until the end of the season? He's under contract. It's all about it's the family situation more than anything else. So we got to respect him. You know, I think he came to West Ham United thinking he was going to come in for maybe a season, and then all of a sudden he's played out of his skin. He's been offered a contract, etc. Yes, he is in his last year of his contract, but I guess you get homesick, don't you? If you're away from your family. Dawson is travelling down every day. I think he's got a home in Manchester. Travelling down every day to actually play, train and play with the team. It must take it out of you without a shadow of a doubt. Epic. We don't even know how good Dawson is after his latest injury. It's not bad. I'm sure he'll be back fully fit. But, it was Ogbonna I was worried about. And wasn't it wonderful to see Ogbonna back on the pitch? And he looked imperious last night against Spurs. We should have won that game. I did want to do a review of the game. I do apologise. But unfortunately, I've got to work during the day and I just didn't have time. Didn't get back in till quite late after the game last night. I'll review it in the West Ham Weekly anyway. Mandy, I bet there's no injury. No, well, there is. It's a knock, which has kept him out of most of pre-season. Epic again. You mean he's just refuted? No, that's not Dawson that we know, is it? That's a bit, as Howard says, that's a little bit cynical. Good afternoon to you, or good evening to you, GP. I hope you're well. Howard, he doesn't strike me as the type. Absolutely. Good evening, Oliver. Dawson has been a great servant to us. Wish him all the best. Absolutely. And I think we would, wouldn't we? We absolutely would. Nick, good evening to you. Fuming about Ashby. What's going on? I mean, first we had Sonny Perkins do this, and now Ashby. And people are suggesting that it's because Ashby's not getting any game time. The irony The irony is that Ashby will get game time. I just wonder what the deal is. I'm trying to find out what the offer is, but unfortunately, I haven't had much success. But if it is game time, the irony is that with Johnson out and with Soufal being the only natural right back choice at the moment, it looks like Ashby will get game time, even in Europa Conference League at the very, very least. Mandy, why is everyone going to Villa? Because it seems Villa have got the cash to spend. They're in trouble, Villa. You know, I don't think. I think sometimes you can buy too many players, and I don't know how many Villa have bought, but they must be in double figures already, or close to it. And sometimes when you get that many players in, look at Nottingham Forest, 18 odd players, etc. Sometimes you just have too many. And Gerrard. Yeah, Howard, he's in trouble. He's going to be found out. I totally agree with you. Good evening, Adam. For 2 or 3 million, top player. Hope he does well. If he goes, can't blame him. If his family up north, absolutely. Nick, so ordering to my source, we could make a last-minute bid for Aarons from Norwich if Ashby goes. That's a good shout. And I'm gonna check on that one as well, mate. Because I'll check on the Zalai deal and I'll check on Aaron's as well, because they're good shouts. Matej, good evening to you. Good luck with Stow in the conference. Thank you, Matej. Thank you for joining, Matej. Have you subscribed? I hope you're well, mate. Mandy, close the window now. Oh, I can't wait for it to close. Can you? I mean, it's been a massive ordeal. Wouldn't it be nice to go back to talking about what goes on the pitch rather than what goes on off it? And we're not that far away. What are we? Just gone 6 o'clock. We've got about just under 5 hours to go. And then we can focus on what am I going to do? No shows. But mind you, I don't rely on the transfer shows, do I? There's loads more to talk about. Adam. Hate to see Ashby go. Would like to keep our youngsters and bring them through. If you haven't seen it yet, I put out a show earlier today, a pre-recorded show about the number of young players we've got out on loan. Do go and have a look at that, because we've got some interesting loan deals that are going on. We've got, well, I included Ashby. I thought he was going to go to Preston. So we've got 8 at the moment, possibly 9 players, youth players that are going out on loan. So if you haven't watched that video, it's quite a short video to talk about the youth players that are out on loan. It's very good. You know, I'm not saying my show's very good. It's just that it's good that we've got so many young players going out on loan at the moment. Get them some proper game time, because many people say playing for the under-23s now, the under-21s, doesn't necessarily give them the experience that they need. Oliver, pretty sure Newcastle will offer Ashby a great financial package that we won't meet. Quite possibly, which is a damn shame, really. Paul, we need to look at the way we tie up our promising youngsters. Seems like we are leaving it far too late. You know, that's an interesting point. Do we do that? There's quite a number of players who are in the last year of their contracts, like Okoflex and one or two, and Longello. They've just both gone out to championship sides, and they're both in their last year of their contract. So if they do really well, we might have a problem in getting them to sign a longer term contract. Mandy, he won't start. He'll be back up to Trippier, won't he? So I don't know who else they've got there, if they've got any other right backs, but he'll certainly be back up to Trippier. It's such a shame, though. We do need to try and keep Ashby, and if I get any more news on that, I'll definitely let you know. Good evening to you, Ash. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Aidan, how are you, mate? Around 5 hours of the window left. Yes, just under 5 hours, mate. And I won't lie to you, it's quite an ordeal trying to put shows out about transfers. So it'd be nice to get back to, just like I said a moment ago, shows just about the football itself. Chris, how are you, mate? What are we doing with centre midfield, right back and centre back? Heard absolutely nothing about centre midfield. It looks like at this moment in time, Connor Commentary could be staying. There's talk about maybe sending Flynn Downs out on loan, which is rather odd. We've only just signed him. And if I hear any more about that, I'll let you know later on as well. But at this moment in time, there are no stories. I know other people are saying, oh, we're in last minute deals for Conor Gallagher, etc. We're not. And Seko Fofana is another one. I did a show about him and a few others yesterday, but no further news. At this moment in time, it's just focused on purely the right back and another centre back. If Dawson goes and if Ashby goes, Moyes is focusing on getting replacements for those 2 players. John McCarthy, new centre back. It's Phil Jones. I've been telling you for months. Would you not take him as a backup? Good evening to you, Dabs. Really disappointed if Ashby leaves. True. Good evening, Hammerette. This was a really last-minute thing, Hammerette. Otherwise, I would have let you know. Hammerette, most importantly, is Lanzini still a hammer? He is still a hammer. And I, did a report yesterday about, the two players that were likely to leave yesterday were Lanzini and Dawson. And because Hans van Aken has now signed an extended contract at Club Brugge, it looks like, obviously, that's the player Moyes wanted. And it could have well been, to be honest with you, if I think about it now, it could have well been at the expense of Lanzini. But now van Aken is not coming. It looks like Lanzini is staying. And then GP says, I hope Lanzini goes. He'll ease his wage bill. John, what happened to Scamacca late last night? Did he eat Tottenham's lasagna? Apparently, Moyes has talked about his illness today. And I don't know. It sounds like tonsillitis. My daughter, ironically, had the same thing, like all that shit in her mouth and all that, and she had tonsillitis. So I wonder if it's that. But tonsil, if you're on antibiotics, it should have started kicking in by now. But apparently he may be back. What day is it today? It's Thursday. He may be back tomorrow for training, but he might not be ready in time for the Chelsea game, unfortunately. Maybe on the bench. Chris, the Dawson interest from other clubs just shows you how good Moyes has made him look. Absolutely, mate. The fact that he's had Wolves, Aston Villa, and who else was it? And Leicester that were apparently interested in him. So absolutely, he's there was a good player there, wasn't there? We didn't see it, but Moyes did. Do you remember when we signed him? It was like, what the hell's he doing? And he turned out to be absolutely fantastic. Good evening to you, Graham. Thank you for the email. I hope you got my replies. I hope you will. Hasn't Ashby got the same agent as Eddie Howe? He's got, I think they're with Wasserman. So, interestingly, it's Moyes' son and his brother, I think, who are part of Wasserman, or could be. I don't know. I don't know, actually, mate. That's quite possible. That's quite possible. Is Ashby alone? It looks like Ashby may be a permanent deal if Newcastle come in. Well, Newcastle are in for him, and it looks like a permanent deal. Chris, what did you think of Thilo's performances? I think he looks fantastic. I feel sorry for him. A penalty and an own goal. And if you look at those stats and go, what the hell who we signed here? But he was hung out to dry for the penalty, wasn't he? He's like one-on-one, wasn't his fault. And then the own goal, it was going in anyway. There was Son behind him. I'd rather have an own goal than give Son a goal, to be quite honest with you. But in all honesty, mate, Chris, we've got a brilliant player there in Thilo Kehrer. Absolutely fantastic looking player, calm, composed. I think we've got a bargain there. I bet you he's going to become an unsung hero at West Ham. We talk about the Paqueta and Scamacca, etc., etc. I bet you Kehrer is going to be an unsung hero for West Ham this season. Epic. Ashby has 1 year left on his contract, so it won't be alone if he goes. Yeah, it won't be. Good evening to you, Daniela. How are you? Waking home or walking home? I hope you're well. South of Salem. Good evening to you. I like Ashby. Hope he stays, but good luck to him if he leaves. Yeah, I'd really, really like him to stay. But what can you do? If the player wants to go elsewhere, then there's no point trying to, of course you try and persuade them, but if their minds are set, then you look for alternatives. Good evening, Kent. How are you? All right, still, I wanted a couple in and out today. Well, it may still happen, mate. This now 4 hours and 40 minutes to go of this transfer saga. GP. No, happy that we'll be buying him. Aidan, Villa, 15 out, 7 in. Is that all? Only 7 in? I thought they bought an awful lot more players. Surprised there. Howard, great shout, Chris. What did Chris say? Chris said something. What do you think of Thilo's performance? Absolutely. Hammerette, shame if Ashby goes. Why do we let the decent youth prospects leave? Look, some of them are good. I didn't think Perkins was anywhere near Premier League ready. Perkins clearly thought he was. So I wasn't that upset when Perkins left, to be quite honest with you. He's still got to prove himself even at Leeds. But Ashby, absolutely. I agree with you. Good evening, Paul Osborne. I don't really want any more through the door for the sake of team spirit. Well, if we're going to have a couple leave, then Moyes is determined. Let's not forget, we've got a 23-man squad. If you include Connor Coventry, if he doesn't go, it's a 24-man senior squad at the moment. So if we do lose one or two, Moyes is going to have to, actually, if you include Ashby, that's 25. So if we lose those, Dawson and Ashby, Moyes is determined to keep it as a 25-man squad. So that's not so bad. Jerry, who is walking home? Evening anyway. Yeah, well, I was working from home, so I had to rush this on, but walk safely while you're listening. Matej, I'm a Romanian, and I think you will win easily with Stow in the conference. Their last game in the league was not the best 3-1 loss. Well, it's going to be an interesting game, Matej, absolutely. And I hope, we've got a new supporter here, a Stow and the West Ham. Are you going to support West Ham United after we play you, Matej? Jason, all right, mate, how are you? Whatever happens tonight, it's been our best window, without a doubt. I mean, look how much money we spent. Who would have thought? Sullivan must have dug deep under that in that sofa and found a whole load of money, or he's nicked Kretinsky's credit card, one or the other. GP. I can't see where Ashby will fit in. Soufal Johnson, he is an option. He's a third option. He would have, as a wing back of those three players, Soufal, Johnson and Ashby, he's probably the more natural wing back of those three. Howard, I hope you have a good league this season, Matej. Yeah, we do all wish Stow well, but we don't wish them well in the Championship. Sorry, Matej, in the Europa Conference. Sorry, Matej. But yeah, we do wish you well in the league, Matej. Scott Sewell, good evening to you. Missed out on Coletta Carr. Have we, though? Would have been a good Dawson replacement. Would he, though? How many times have we spoken about Coletta Carr over the last 2.5, maybe 3 years? He's on his way. No, he's not. Yes, he is. No, he's not. We're dealing. We've got negotiating. We're blah, blah, blah. I don't know. If Moyes really, really wanted him, he would have had him through the door by now, well before now. So I think Moyes is, holding judgment on Coletta Carr. Let's see how he does. He's going to move to Southampton. Let's see how good he is there. Adam, good show. Thank you. Thank you very much, mate. Much appreciated for that. Hammerett. Soufal's on the old side. Johnson's not quite good enough yet. Surely we should keep him. Yeah, we should. But if we don't, then what can we do? South of Salem still need. Well, Emerson is in now. So, and we got Longello out on a season-long loan. Let's see how he fares, how he does at Birmingham City. We might have a ready-made left back at the end of this season if Longello does well. He's going to play in the Championship. That's going to be a big test for him. If he does well there, then he may be the left back that we need next season. But right now, it'll be with Creswell and Emerson. Slime Maker, good evening to you. Hi all. What did you think of the atmosphere? Oh, superb. If anyone else was there, I'm sure maybe Kent was there and Hammerett was there probably. Absolutely, man. You know what? It was just the tonic we needed, mate. Just the tonic we needed, because things have been a little bit flat so far. I know a lot of us don't like Sunday games. So, an evening under the lights against Spurs, we should have bloody well won that game, to be honest with you. We weren't great in the first half, but in the second half, we were absolutely superb. We were all over them. We were putting it up them, and they didn't like it. Pardon the pun. But I'll tell you something, mate, that the atmosphere was immense last night. Absolutely immense. Actually reminded me of some of the games last season, some of the Euro games, etc. That's what I prefer. Rather than having Sunday afternoon football, I'd much rather we had Saturday night football. I really would. I think it would be much, much better. If we had a game at, say, 7 o'clock in the evening, still gives people time to get home and all that. And the atmosphere will be, with the days closing in now, winter coming, Saturday evening football over Sunday afternoon football for me, always better. Kent. Max Aaron's at Norwich being mentioned. He's a right back, very good. I'm going to look into that, mate, because that's quite an interesting shout. And I know we were linked to him before. We will be looking for a replacement without a shadow of a doubt. With Ashby about to go, we will be looking to get a replacement in. So Aaron's is a good shout. Kent again. Sacco for Fofana signed a new deal. Secco Fofana is signing a new deal. So he's gone. He won't be coming to West Ham either. Jerry, anything on Ross Barkley? Nothing at all. Now, that could be a lot, but let's not forget he's a free agent. We can sign him anytime. We don't have to wait for the transfer window to sign Ross Barkley now. We can sign him tomorrow if we wanted to. He's a free agent. Chris, cannot wait to see Kerr. And again, you know what? That's what was going through my mind, mate, today. After thinking about the game last night, I'm so glad Oggie's back. And I'm so glad Zuma is finally beginning to look like he's got a little bit of fitness. He's got he's got problems with his knees, though. I just don't know if he's going to last the season. But I was thinking exactly the same. Kerr and a Gerd, they're going to be superb. My phone is buzzing, so I've probably got more news. But let's go through your chat a bit more first. Daniela, who don't we want in these we've been connected with? Who don't we want? I think it looks like these are the two players. Well, certainly Aina, definitely we wanted. It looks like we definitely wanted Bednarik, but he's going to, it looks like he's going to Villa. But I was told Aina was a serious option, and as Kent's now pointing out, maybe Max Aarons as well from Norwich. Fortunate kid. Good evening to you. Good evening, everyone. Ashby should never have been allowed to leave. Hasn't left yet. We also need a couple of players before the window shuts. Well, as is right now, if Ashby and Dawson stay, it doesn't look like we'll be getting anyone else in. If they leave, or if one of them leaves, Moyes is determined to get replacements for him. Good evening to you, NWO. I hope you're well, mate. Good evening, Huge. Hi, Stel. Great night last night. Fantastic. So unlucky not to have scored a couple more. We created a hatful of chance. Mate, you know what? In the first half, I was nervous. And then when they scored the goal, I was, it's going to be one of those nights. And then when we came out in the second half, we went for the jugular, didn't we? We went at them. We went right. But their tactics, Antonio Conte's tactics, from the minute the second half kicked off, time wasting and all that sort of stuff. And the way that Antonio and Bowen got treated last night by their defenders was disgusting. You know, they rarely got any favours going for them. You know, not one foul in favour of Antonio or Bowen. Bowen was kicked all over the place last night, to be quite honest with you. Look, he was still a little bit quiet. He was still, getting there, but still a little bit quiet. But I tell you what, we were unlucky not to score, especially at the dying. Wouldn't it have been, justice if Bowen had got that, that last shot that just sort of trickled across the line. Hammerit, sign him for another year and loan him out. Perhaps next season he can be involved in the first team. Are you talking about Ashby? We're trying. We don't want Ashby to go. Moyes doesn't want Ashby to go. John, Howard Else, I got a DM off DG. You told me don't go to bed. Hammerit, we were the better team last night for the majority, certainly for the second half. NWO, give the donkey more carrots. Which donkey are you talking about? Chris, I'm gutted we missed that Onana deal. Wow, the team looks good. I don't know if I am gutted about missing the Onana deal, to be quite honest with you. We looked all right without him. Souček, back on form. Declan, slowly getting there. Yeah, okay, we need a backup, and maybe that's why we've kept Coventry, because I'm not so sure that Moyes is sold on Downs at the moment. So Coventry, another youngster coming through. Hammer it. The atmosphere was good last night when our Pac-Man came on. God, I mean, I was jumping up and down like a kid when I saw him take his top off and getting ready to come on, his training top off and getting ready to come on. Everyone was buzzing. It's like, oh my God, we're about to see a £50 million footballer coming on the pitch for West Ham. They brought on their £50 million player. He did one trick pony when he went past Ogbonna, and that was it for the rest of the game. Our player wasn't what at all. But did he elbow the Tottenham player though? I thought he was going to get sent off at one moment. Anthony, according to Sky, it's a permanent deal. That will be for, I'm guessing you're talking about Ashby. Martin, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Huge. Why don't any of the journalists ask Moyes what's going on with the youngsters? Why have so many wanted to leave? It's an interesting question. I think Perkins was all about, he didn't think he was going to get game time. He didn't think he was going to make the first team, etc. And for Ashby, some have said that, but he's on the cusp. And I just wonder, maybe we're just not offering him a lucrative enough contract. Look, they got these agents now, let's not forget these youngsters, who are telling them you should be on 30 grand a week, 40 grand a week, etc. And they're not going to jump from academy salaries to senior player salaries that are equivalent to some of the senior players that have been doing it for quite a number of years. And I think with agents, I think that's the problem, Huge. I think I don't know what youth players get paid. a couple of grand a week, 2, 3, 4, 5 grand a week, maybe even 10 grand a week or whatever. But then, all of a sudden they get a sniff of senior team football, and all of a sudden their agents are saying, you should be on 50 grand a week, 30 grand a week, 40 grand a week. It ain't going to happen. It's Declan, when he came into the first team, he was given incremental increases. The better you play, the more you play, the higher your salary will go, etc., etc. I think agents these days are talking to some of these young players and going, you're worth 40 grand. That's what we should be demanding. It's bollocks, really, NWO, the signings have defo improved us without a shadow of a doubt. I feel sorry for Cornet, though. Of all the signings that we've got through the window this summer, Cornet's the one that's Premier League ready. And the poor bloke, I thought Bowen didn't have a great game last night. And I thought at one point that he would swap him for Cornet for Bowen. But no such luck. And then, of course, who gets pulled off when Paqueta comes on? Poor old Benny. Let's scroll down a bit more. Dabs. Can you really blame Ashby if he leaves? So, if we're offering him a decent contract and some game time, I'd be disappointed if he didn't sort of look at that and decided to stay. John was on the socials last night. Where was there a power cut in North London? It was very quiet. Good evening, Woodhammer. New subscriber, thank you very much. Love your shows, thank you very much. Wouldn't it just be so West Ham if Brozier scores a decisive? He probably won't even play, to be honest with you. Oh, and there's other talk. Oh, Brozier and Conor Gallagher last minute. No, doesn't look like it. Gallagher maybe. Brozier, I'm not so sure. Gallagher, like I said, I think on yesterday's show, Gallagher is part of Tuchel's team. He's made 4 appearances, 2 starts already. I don't think he wants to let him go. Brozier, I don't know. Let's see what happens, I guess. NWO, small squad killed us last 2 seasons. Absolutely. We can't have that complaint now, can we? Good evening to you, West Ham 94. I think if we do let Ashby go, we need to put a buyback clause on him because West Ham needs to start doing it. Yeah, good shout. I like that. That's a really good shout. Who else have we got? Daniela. On the cider last night, hun, watching the game in a pub in Stepney Green on the cider. Azari, good evening to you. I'm very well. Where have you been? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Mihailo, good evening to you. Conor, last minute, I can feel it coming. I'd like to say yes. If it breaks, I'll tell you what, I'll get straight back on and do another show about it. But I'm not so sure, to be honest with you, Mihailo. West Ham 94 again. If Ashby leaves, yep, we've done that one. Thank you very much. South of Salem, Sullivan is Del Boy in disguise. Well, we know that, don't we? We know he's a chancer. Chris, who knew? Just a little competition would make Benny more consistent. Now bringing competition for Bowen. That's a good call. But isn't Cornet competition for Bowen? Because Cornet can play out that side as well. Good evening to you, Gary. How are you? We're not getting a right back. Crazy. We need one. Well, we don't know yet. The window is still 4.5 hours to go. Raymond, the new German boy can play right back. That is very true. He can. When the other centre backs come in, good shout. He absolutely can play at right back. Good evening to you, Pat. I hope you're well, mate. GP, Howard, every season ticket holder should get a dildo. What, free? Mihailo, I'd love to see that coming home with a dildo. My miss going, what's that in your hand? Oh, I was given it free at West Ham. Really? Mihailo. Conor Gallagher last. Oh, you said that already. John. Southampton just done his medical. Coletta Cart. Yep, he's going. He's there. Bednarik is going to Aston Villa. Chris. Newsom and new recruits have really delivered. We're going to win the league soon. Paul Osborne. But what a spine we have now. Full of top quality internet. It's fucking unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, seriously, people, are you still pinching yourselves? Because it is unbelievable. Sky Carr is in London. Yeah, Coletta Carr is in Southampton for a medical. Martin Woodhammer 83. You're in for a treat. The West. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated. Let's scroll down a bit more. Kent, I was there last night. The away fans were poor, very cold. Weren't they just? Could barely hear anything out of them. Schmiegel, hi everyone. Hi to you, mate. I hope you well. Coletta is not a good player. Trust me, he's not coming to us anyway. Watch a lot of League One and he's shaky in defence. Some Marseille fans told me that he was their worst player. Interesting that. Paul, it's funny because when we were first linked to him, I remember doing several reviews about him and looking at his stats and his details, etc. And he was meant to be one of the, like big up and coming centre backs in European football, and he's must have fallen out of grace a lot. Paul, I think we have a great chance against Chelsea. It looks like we want it again. Dare I? Yes, I will. We're going to win on Saturday. Matej, as a spoiler for you guys, Stow will cancel their league match. That was 3 days before the match, and we'll have 1 week to prepare. Wow. I wish we could bloody well do that. Hammer it. Saw quite a few Paqueta printed shirts already last night in the ground. Of course. Claude. A draw at home. So what would happen when we go away? Well, look, you know what, Claude? We should have won last night. And I think, if we carry on in this vein, West Ham are back in force. We'll beat everyone coming up. Beat. Is Ashby a big loss? Never seen him play. He's a very, very decent young player without a shadow of a doubt. He would be one of the few that, could possibly break through the youth ranks to make it into the senior team. He's decent. We've seen him a couple of times playing for the senior team. We've seen a few cameos from him, playing for the under-23s last season as well. He's good. He's good. Jason, Wan-Bissaka would complete a proper transfer window. No, it's gone quiet. And apparently Man United have said there's no way he's leaving. We're keeping hold of him. But, anything can happen. Anything can happen in the next 4 hours and 20 minutes. Adam, great atmosphere last night. Should have won. Spuds were crap. Enjoyed it. Waiting for the next home game. Keep the atmosphere bubbling. The next one's against Newcastle, but it's a Sunday afternoon, isn't it? John. 8 years ago was our last big spend. We got some snotty-nosed kid from Ipswich, an African journeyman, and a manager's son, along with a guy who scores when he wants, a gooner, and 5 others. Bloody hell, that's a bit of history there, isn't it, mate? Chris, now with pace at the back and Emerson looking sharp, we can play through at the back at times. Absolutely. But Ashby would have fitted that quite well. So it's a shame if he does sign for Newcastle. That would be a shame. Schmigel, I would have liked us to sign Grilic as he was available on free, but signed for Ajax today instead. Martin, guessing that Barkley is settled in London and moved to West Ham should be a no-brainer for him. Let's see what happens. And like I said, we don't have to worry about the transfer window for that. He's a free agent. We can sign him tomorrow if we wanted to. Slime, good evening again. Oh, no, I've said good evening already. I agree, still unreal last night. I was there, and it's what the players have been missing. First few games, they feed off it. I feel the Brighton game, the fans were flat, and it reflected in their performance. Yeah, let's not blame the fans for it, because the team were awful on the pitch, but it is much better when it's evening. Who wants Saturday night football? I bloody well do. Don't they do that in abroad? Don't they do that in Spain and Italy and places like that? They play... They even play Sunday night football. Much better atmosphere. Let's scroll down. John, Januzaj looks like it's either Seville or I'm going to say Valencia, I think, but he's not coming. He's not coming to West Ham. Claude, I was not impressed by West Ham. They play hustle football. Do we? What's wrong with hustle football, Claude? There's nothing wrong with that. I think, you got to hustle. You got to get the ball. We were expecting not to have a lot of the ball. I think the stats last night was something like we had about 35% possession. We knew that Tottenham were going to have more possession. You got to hustle them to get the ball back. I don't know about that one, mate. Adam, get your tickets for Europa Conference League. It'll be a good night. And absolutely, it will be. Chris. Spurs were overhyped. We shall smack them away. The greedy six, they're not part of the greedy six. Are shook. Liverpool needed 8 minutes to beat an 8 minutes. 8 minutes added time. Daniela, bit pissed off that the Evening Standard had very little on our game. If we had lost, it would have been all on the back page. It's a shame that, isn't it? Jason. It's great that the stillness Moyes has implemented in West Ham. We stood up to Spurs and their tactics and gave some back as well. We absolutely did. Paul, hate Spurs anyway, but even more so after all their play acting last night. Conte is a good manager, but acts like a kid that can't get his own way and reflected on his players. Good shout that. Very, very true. James, good evening to all. How are you, mate? I hope you're well, James. Let's, I'll tell you what, how many minutes are we? You love keeping me on, don't you? You absolutely do. JD's, good evening to you. Do you think there are going to be more signings? Well, let me let me say hello to people I haven't said hello to yet, and then I'll do a brief review of what I've already spoken about. Yuha, good evening to you. It's hard as fans for our to have our academy wanted to leave the club. Too bad they're not all West Ham supporters. Well, yeah, isn't Ashby though? I think he joined us when he was something like 10 years old. Good evening to you, Mark. How are you? Good evening, Learn to Dig. How are you? Claude again. What good West Ham players stepped up? It was a silly mistake from Spurs and you at home. Oh, you're a spud. Oh, that's why. Thank you for joining anyway, though, mate. Chris, true, Paul. I watched Coletta Carr in the Conference League from Marseille. He's worse than Diop. Mate, I'll tell you what, Claude, you know what? You were really lucky to get a result out of that last night. I won't lie, mate. You were really, really lucky to walk away with a draw. Really lucky. Anyway, Chris, I watched Coletta Carr in the Conference League. He's worse than Diop. That should tell you something. Good grief. Peter, good evening to you, mate. If the owners of West Ham want to buy me a birthday present, Gallagher would do. A little bit of love my way. His birthday was back in January. A late birthday present, eh? Ballon Dawson, Barkley here. What name are you going to change to if Dawson goes, mate? Kent, 10 years ago, we were signing Carew, Demel, Bentley, Lansbury, Diop. How far we have come in a decade. Wow. Ian, good evening to you, mate. Great performance from the lads last night. Unlucky not to get the win. I'm sure Scamacca would have put a couple. Yeah, we were saying that. That would have been a Scamacca game last night. Antonio did brilliantly. That flick for our goal was absolutely sublime. You know, and he runs his heart out, and we love Antonio, but we know overall he's not a striker. And yet, you're right, Ian. If Scamacca was there, I think he would have put one or two away. What happened at the end there? Because we were looking, and all of a sudden, Paqueta and Emerson were behind, one behind the other, and the ball went straight past both of them. It's like, why did you both miss that? I don't know if one of them got a shout or whatever, but that would have been. And then who skied it? Oh, Fornals skied it. You know, Bowen. You know, the goal, the ball across the goal line that no one got hold of. My God, we should have won last night. Martin, I think Spurs' performance is deteriorating with every game. They'll resort to, they'll get dirty. You know, if anyone ever saw Antonio Conte play as a footballer, he was proper Italian footballer. He had a bit of argy-bargy in him, you know, and he'll fashion a team the way he used to play. Garino. Have we signed anyone yet? Moyes out. John, Kera, Rice, Paqueta, Scamacca will form the spine of the team. Can't wait to see all four in the starting lineup. Can't remember when we had 4 quality players like that. We can't believe it, can we? We're all still pinching ourselves. We're all going to wake up tomorrow and go, there's a transfer window open yet. Who are we signing? Anthos. Good evening to you, mate. The gun is Bolagala. Don't go to bed still. Well, I won't be. You know, I'll be on later. I might do the last hour of the transfer window. I might do the final hour, 10 to 11. So if you're around, join me for that. Do a final hour. And what I'll do, if there's no players to be talked about, you know, signing, I'll do a review of the players that we've signed and talk about, you know, who's going to be a casualty of the senior team, you know, with the likes of Paqueta coming in, etc. Who's going to be benched for these players? Or will some of these new players still be benched, you know, halfway through the season and so on? So join me for that. I might do an hour. Oh, and I might be a guest on another show. Another channel. So look out for that as well. Yeah, I was quite honoured. Elbow. Garino. Oh, he's saying, you, Garino. Completely ignoring me. Fremmer, could you imagine the scenes if Paqueta actually expected the pass and became the match? Mate, I mean, can you imagine the crowd would have gone bananas? Ken, away games would be tough to do on Saturday night all the time. Yeah, I guess so, Ken. I guess so. But then again, the atmosphere at away games, whenever we play them, is always great. It's more about, I'm thinking more about the home games, mate. You know, the home games on Sunday afternoons, kind of like, can't get the crowd going sometimes. Scarborough, good evening to you. Can someone get rid of Claude the more? Don't worry about him. Don't worry about him. You know, we all know he's not speaking any sense. Gareth, good evening to you. William back in the Premier League with Fulham. Sort of desperate sign we would have made one to put. You know, that's true. We would have done. That would have been the sort of thing we would have done. Beats, good evening to you. Being a fellow Scotsman, I hope Ashby stays. From N1 linked, who would be your top target? Top target? I don't know anymore, because we would have said Skamaka and we would have said Paqueta and we would have said players like that and gone, well, we'll never get them. Now, I don't know. If Ashby goes, I just want to get a right back in, someone that can play wing back. Aina, I don't really know much about him apart from what I read earlier today. So, and if Dawson does go, I think we do need another centre back as well. Howard, stay on all night, the transfer show. No, mate, I've got things to do. I've got things to do, especially keeping the other half happy before I go on at 10 o'clock tonight. Mark, hustle, a term derived by the Old English Tottenham pikey for pressing. Good evening, Neil. How are you? They're probably sitting around crying on Cox Fan TV. David Shaw, good evening to you. Love the show. Glad I'm not a Spuds fan. Awful football, awful fans, awful club. Absolutely. NWO. Spurs fans, the most deluded fans in football. They really are, actually, to be quite honest with you. Chris, Claude is Spudsy. We know that now. You should be shook. We started terribly and Spurs couldn't control the game. I'm not scared even of Arsenal. Good evening, Udaraja. Good evening. And thank you for correcting me. If anyone watched the, what was it? It was the preview to the Spurs game. When I mentioned a certain player that was contributing to Spurs' goal, I forgot that it was the player who played for Southampton. I can't remember who it was now. Because I said, oh, yeah, Spurs are sharing out the goals with so-and-so scoring, etc., etc. And then I mentioned the Southampton player, and I forgot to say it was the Southampton player that actually scored an own goal in the 4-1 win when Spurs played them. So thank you for correcting me, Udaraja. Schmeigel, Sky Sports confirmed Marco Boogers will be returning as a backup striker. Heard he's just parked his caravan up in London Stadium. David again. Howard, you call Black. Calm. Let's not get into. Come on, let's all be nice. Yeah, no, let's not do all that stuff. Agreed. Belong. Stell's a West Ham. Yeah, I'm not that. I'm definitely not that. Oh, whoever came to say hello to me in the at the Grove last night. I'm sorry, I didn't ask for your name, but thank you for saying to me, oh, I couldn't find you on YouTube and you're not on that other channel anymore. And I went, no, I'm on this one. And then he subscribed in front of me. Sorry, I didn't get your name. So, if you see this show or you're watching in your future shows, hello, and sorry for not getting your name. John, come on, spill the beans. What channel? Dabs, aside from Hammer's Chat have asked me to come on and I might go on there later on tonight. About 9:30, just before I do my last, the graveyard shift, 10 till 11. Dabs, aside from Ashby and Coventry, what's the next youngster to step up that isn't currently on a well, they all are. Okoflex, Odubeko, Longello, etc. They've just all been sent out on loan. So I can't tell. Callum Marshall, the 18-year-old playing for the under-18s who's scoring goals for absolute fun. Look out for him in the future. And Divine Mbama. He's just made the grade up to the under-21s this season. Look out for those two players. You know what? Every time I talk about a youngster going, I think it's going to be this one, the next breakthrough, they end up getting sold or doing nothing or wasting their chances, etc. But I'm going to stick my neck out. Callum Marshall, Divine Mbama. Look out for both of them. Anthos. Let me guess, who's going to be benched still? Benny. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I agree. Ken, Wan-Bissaka will be my choice on loan. You know what, Ken? I agree with you. And we messaged, you sent me a message, didn't you? And Wan-Bissaka would be a good signing. I'm just worried about he's on 90 odd grand a week, 96 grand a week. Claude, he's still here. Why is it that people want to get rid of others simply because of their views? I'm not aligned. No, we welcome all fans here. We've got fans from all other football teams, Newcastle fans. We've had other fans, etc. You're more than welcome. But we've got to be civil to each other as well. So you're more than welcome to your view. But unfortunately, your view that that you should have won last night is a little bit deluded. We're open and honest opinions here, Claude. Not deluded. You go. You beat me to it, Hammer. Now, be nice. Be nice. Oliver, Everton table, late Brereton Diaz bid. I knew sooner or later he'd be going elsewhere. And I know we were kind of interested in him, but he might do well at Everton, to be honest with you. Elbow. Claude, don't forget you bought Richarlison. £52 million you pay for him. Who looked better last night on the pitch? £152 million player or the other one? Graham Upson. Look forward to some Samba skills, and we got them from Antonio and Souček for the goal. Yep, Souček. You know what? I'm so pleased for Souček. He's gotten an awful lot of grief, and no, roundabout sort of way. You know, fair play because he hasn't been on form. But that goal, I mean, the flick by Antonio and the way Souček got that ball and then smashed it. Fuck me, that was just superb. Absolutely superb. No, Ballon, he can stay. He can stay. You know, they're all welcome here. It ups my numbers. Oi, Claude, subscribe to the channel, mate. Apache, good evening to you. Would you start Masuaku against Chelsea? Yes, I would. Yeah, I actually would. I would start him, to be honest with you. Yeah. Masuaku, he ain't that bad. Crosshammer, good evening to you. On a different note, if you have seen the Pizza Hut special for $8.99 for any size pizza, don't make the same mistake. What mistake was that, Crosshammer? Garino, you bought it. That's the mistake you made. Garino, was it the bechamel or was it the ragu? These things are important to know rather than just blame it on the lasagna. Blame it. Good evening to you, Hughes. Must admit, subbing Benny every game when he's playing well. In all honesty, Bowen should have been subbed last night. With the greatest of respect to him, Bowen should have been the one to come off, to be honest with you. GP, Hammers are bonkers. Gonzo and Gio think Pringles are snacks, not crisps. I'll ask him about that tonight. Chris, Moyes has to check the reporter who called them a big club. Yeah, had to check the reporter who called them. Moyes said, nah, they're just Tim Pop, mate, with a shiny stadium. Terry, good evening to you. Good performance yesterday. Absolutely superb. Once all our new signings have settled in, can't wait to see what we can achieve. I would like to see Cornet start against you. I would too. I just want, let's see, because Moyes will mix it up. You know, we'd have played on Wednesday night. Some of the players will need a little bit longer to rest than others. I wonder if Zuma might rest and Dogbonna play. I might mix it up. He might mix it up, you know. Claude, subscribe. You'll have fun here, mate. You really would. James, seems as though Claude had a little too much schnitt. Now. Adam, Benny will struggle with Paqueta inches with Paqueta team. I think Fornals is a Moyes. Well, Fornals is the you know, he's that he's a Moyes player, isn't he? Moyes has turned him from a number 10 into a sort of the water carrier. He's that kind of player that will put in the hours and really sort of dig deep. So I think Fornals will always start. So yeah, but unfortunately it could be Ben Rama that will suffer more than anyone. Good evening, Lee. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. See, we've got a Leeds fan here, and we treat him with respect because he treats us with respect. I hope you're well, Lee. It looks you might have been in for Ashby, but it looks like Newcastle might be beating you to him. Mark, Ola Aina, never heard of him. I'll be honest with you. No, neither did I. Anthos, what happened to the whippy Cornetto? No appearance last night. If he can't replace Bowen when he can't run, shoot, or dribble, he's got no chance. Let's see. I don't know what happened there. Let's see. But maybe that's the sort of thing that Moyes needs to sort of stop doing. You know, he's got to stop keeping his favourites on. He did it a lot with Antonio when he was out of form. Maybe he's doing that with Bowen. Maybe he's thinking Bowen will click any minute now. Bowen will click and kick off his season. But sometimes you do need to take a player off when they're not firing on all cylinders. Hammerett, we had a slow start to the season, but given the improvements of the game, it is getting exciting again. Chelsea will be ours on Saturday. Daniela, guys, we have to forget the term being bench it now, rotation due to 2 games. I hope so, and I hope he will start rotating the team properly. That's what we need. Schmiegel, Stella's missing Masuaku. Just look at the tears in his eyes every time he mentions him. Tears of joy. Tears of joy, mates. Fremer, Souček is shared first place in most distant travel in the Premier League. There you go. He's still got a lot in his engine. Claude, we can see through you. Let it go, brother. Get a Hammer shirt and we will never discuss your past again. Right, last one before we go. Kent Hammers, Aina is okay footballer, but not next level. But Moyes is that good, he could turn them. Gum into prime Cafu. He can turn a player into prime Cafu. Played for Chelsea and Fulham, but never looked good. Right, that's it. Thank you all for joining me. I'll probably be on later. Like I said, I might do the late shift. Right, for those of you who came in late, let me just give you a very brief update. So, at this moment in time, because the deal for Ben Narek is off, the Dendonka swap deal doesn't look like it's going to happen. Looks like those 2 players are going to Villa. both of them going to Villa. And so Moyes has said at this moment in time, Dawson ain't going anywhere. He's given him incentives. He's talked about at least keeping him until January, and giving him more time off to spend with his family, and also offering him the possibility of being a free transfer if he stays with the club in January, till January. Harrison Ashby, it looks like Newcastle were very close to signing him, which is a shame. But so there were other teams interested in him, Leicester, Leeds and Preston, North End, but it looks like Newcastle might be beating other teams to his signing, which is an absolute shame. Already mentioned it. Bednarik is having a medical at Aston Villa. Kaletakar is having a medical to replace him at Southampton. Those are all agreed now. So it looks like we're not getting Bednarik. Ola Aina, right back at Torino, last year of his contract. If Ashby goes, Moyes definitely wants a replacement, and he's looking at someone like Aina, who could be third choice at West Ham United. Let's not deny that. Thank you all very much. Much appreciated for you joining me. See you all later, and have a good evening, and we'll see you soon.